lawless or it's jungle law, the numbers do not show the truth about the cost of labor in Vietnam. That is not common in other parts of the world. Bad idea. If you don't have enough money to do it yourself, then don't do it. I trusted people more than I should. People just saying, hey, I'm doing this for the greater cause, but in reality, you're just building your own brand, your own reputation. Only 50% of the wealthy people in Vietnam are truly stable, but the other 50% are really just living in a house of cards. A lot of people go into jail. Investing into Vietnam will come with many risks. Stealing is a national pastime in Vietnam. All right, good morning everyone from all over the world. Buckle up because this is going to be a really big one. So today I'm actually going to share about my 15 years of experience investing into Vietnam and the journey. It includes all the highs, the lows, the struggles, and all the lessons that I've learned. And here's the kicker, and I'll tell you why right now is not the best time to invest into Vietnam. No filter, just real talk. So let's get started. Okay, so today we're actually going to share a very special style of shooting. It'll be driving and talking, whereby I will share my 15 years of experience in Vietnam. So for those that actually don't know me, my name is Ken Duong, CEO of Duong Global, with over 15 years of experience in investments, immigration, and helping companies and individuals expand all over the world, including Duong Global's own expansion of 2009 opening in the United States, 2013 opening in Vietnam, 2016 in Thailand, and then 2019 in Singapore, with the possible expansion to the Middle East and also Europe for the next 5 to 7 years. So that's something that we've been doing, and today I will share with you my own experiences expanding Duong Global all over the world. And I will answer the 10 questions about investing, and hopefully you'll be able to gather good information for your own investment strategy and also enjoying the journey of investing into Vietnam. It's always important to understand what are your first impressions and your initial research about a country, whether you're going to expand your operations there. So I want to give you my first impressions about Vietnam, my research starting in 2011 on the market itself. And in general, I would have to say that I had very high expectations for Vietnam because I've been doing research about the market since 1999 at my university level at UCLA, looking at the macroeconomic trends, GDP growth, population growth, infrastructure development. So I had really high expectations that the country in 1999 was going to be a platform to grow. But prime example, lo and behold, we didn't actually invest into Vietnam until 2013, opening an official office. Even after opening, there were a few things that were not met with the expectations that we had. A very prime example is regarding the labor costs. If you look at the labor costs in the labor statistics and also the General Statistics Office, Vietnam would appear to be very low in the labor costs. At times, even back in the 1990s, that the minimum wage was $300. In some of the regions that are further out, it's only $150. But the true expectations, once you come to Vietnam, it's actually much more than that. And if you look at the modern times of the labor costs, due to a lot of factors of growth in Vietnam. Just a really prime example, back in 2011, the minimum wage in the city of Ho Chi Minh was $300 per employee. That was reported by the labor statistics. But in reality, you would have to increase that by 50% or even at times 100%, depending on what type of employees you have. So looking at the labor costs, and based on the labor statistics, you're looking at an average of $300 per month. But just like for our law firm, we have high-skilled labor in marketing, in legal, in other areas, or white-collared work. Then you actually have to increase that cost by double. So what I didn't budget for back then was the total amount of employees we're going to have, and then having a double of that budget. Because now, aside from just the salary, you're also looking at fringe benefits, health insurance, social security insurance, different company trips or different activities to help with the growth of employees. And then, of course, you also have the 13-month as well. That is not common in other parts of the world, but it is for countries that exhibit and celebrate the Lunar New Year, which includes Vietnam, China, and Korea. So that requires you to have a 13-month salary as well. So with all of that together, and also the competition level amongst multinational corporations and also Vietnamese companies that are growing, and the work environment, you have to budget. I would say the lesson is you have to budget twice as much as you would what you saw on the labor statistics. And then definitely do your research, talk to other companies, and look at some of the guides as well in order to help you with budgeting for staffing, maintenance, and also the way that you treat your locally hired staff as well. So that was one of the big lessons and the expectations that I learned, and I always tell clients as well, is to double the budget for your labor costs, because the numbers do not show the truth about the cost of labor in Vietnam. The second thing I want to talk about is regarding common mistakes that foreign investors make when they come to Vietnam. I can't go over all of them, but I'll give the one that I feel is the most pertinent and has the biggest impact on a business. The first one is, especially if you're coming from a Western country such as North America, Europe, Australia, and Canada as well, you would look at Western cultures applying into this Eastern culture. It makes it much more difficult because they're so different from each other. Anything from the power distance to the hierarchy to the management of staff. So the biggest mistake is, and I also experienced it myself, is implementing Western technologies, strategies, HR to a Eastern or developing country does not make sense, and that is one of the biggest mistakes that is made. A prime example of this mistake would be in the West, and especially in MBA school, we always talk about relationships in the East, that they're all about relationships and that you have to have powerful government connections, from the police to the tax authorities to the environmental controls or other agencies if you're looking to do business in those areas, that you have to have these strong connections in order to be successful in Vietnam. But to be honest, that could be true roughly about 20 years ago when my father's generation did business in Vietnam, when in the 90s when multinational corporations did in Vietnam. But in the modern Vietnam, it has totally changed due to technology, social media, lower barriers to entry, and also a diversified business environment. So you don't need to have those amazing or strong connections to all those authorities to be successful in Vietnam. What you do need to have is an amazing business plan, a great team, and also your execution and your perseverance in order to be successful in Vietnam. So that is kind of the biggest common mistake, because I've seen many successful businesses, many franchises, chains, professional services that do extremely well without those so-called government connections that you think you need to have. Nevertheless, if you are in industries that require a lot of government work, such as real estate development, infrastructure development, education, airports, things like that, then maybe you will need these connections. But I would say in 90% of the businesses, you don't need to be that well connected in order to be successful. Successes are just as good, but they're not very good lessons that you learn. So I want to share about my 3 biggest failures since 2013, so over 10 years in Vietnam, and the lessons that I've learned with you. And I'm happy to share because I learned a lot of amazing lessons, and they happen in different stages. My development and expansion of Yung Global in Vietnam. So the first one that I learned was regarding, and they're all related to local partners in Vietnam and identifying who to work with, why to work with them, and what the opportunities are, but also not to be blindsided by some of the things that you don't know. So many times we say you don't know what you don't know until somebody teaches you a lesson. And so I'm going to give 3 very concrete examples of these lessons that I've learned, I've grown from, and I'm able to share with you. Okay. The first one was when I first entered Vietnam. I've had partners before, but I've never opened an office. We just had strategic law firm partners to work with since 2009 when I started practice in the US. But when we decided to move and open an office in Vietnam, and me being the main partner, I felt that I needed a local Vietnamese lawyer partner as well. just because I didn't have the knowledge, didn't have the operational expertise and the nuances. So in order to fill that gap, I partnered with a local Vietnamese attorney in order to fulfill the Vietnamese side, which is foreign direct investments, work permits, possible litigation, breach of contracts, and other areas, including extending and being able to connect with their network as well. But with this local partner, I didn't look into enough details or was detail oriented to look into the expenses, the operations, the HR, marketing fees, suppliers, construction, and also looking at commission structures with them, because coming from the West and operating a firm in the States, I've done relatively well. Although I was at a young age, I trusted people more than I should, and especially as a lawyer to lawyer, I trusted that attorney very much. But after 3 years of collaborating, bringing a lot of business to them, and also helping them increase operations, I gave a lot into the business. But what I realized was that particular attorney didn't give me the right prices for work, was overcharging for construction, for many of the little things, and including the office space. And I didn't really check too much. But then after 3 years, and luckily it was a blessing in disguise that COVID happened, I had to really check all the expenses, look at minimizing costs. And that allowed me to say, hey, I can't handle it anymore. I need to restructure the business. And then I broke away from that local Vietnamese partner. Blessing in disguise, because I probably wouldn't have done it, but for the fact that COVID happened and expenses were tight and things were pretty difficult. So that was good. I learned a lot. You cannot trust your local partner 100%. Look at motives, you look at expertise, you look at ethics. Make sure that the local partner, especially in your expertise, can really add value to your business, and that you are checking, or you have someone checking the numbers every single day, because people are looking out for their own self-interest and they're not really trying to make you better. And of course, lawyers are very charismatic. They'll say everything and anything in order to get you to work with them. So that was a big lesson I learned. It took me 3 years when I first came to Vietnam and opening up the firm. But with that said, after broke free from that particular person, it was roughly about 2017-18. The firm has thrived. It's gone in this direction, its vision, and we're able to build a bigger, stronger company and law firm in Vietnam and across the world. The second big lesson I learned regarding finding local partners was when I first came in, I became to find more work to fulfill my mission, especially coming from the United States. There's always a charitable purpose behind the legal work, which is helping Vietnamese SMEs be able to take to the global stage. So I joined as a legal counsel and corporate counsel for an international franchise that has been around since 1982 from the United States. I looked at the mission, vision, looked at the structure. I was recruited to join the corporate team of that international franchise, but the master franchise in Vietnam. It didn't turn out to be what I had the master franchise or the individuals had painted for me. The vision of giver's gain, of giving back to Vietnam. It actually turned out that what I really learned was many Vietnamese business people use international brands and international franchises to get great systems, but they don't really adhere or follow the vision and mission behind the work. They use it for their own gains. They paint a really big picture and a great picture of charitable causes, giver's gain, and giving back, but in reality, they're just using the nonprofit or the charity in order to buttress their own business and their own reputation. And this is true, and I use a different calibration system in order to determine whether someone is true or not, or they're building it for magnanimous reasons, or they're just building for themselves. Is the term that they spend as the nonprofit chairperson of that particular business. If you have a term for your nonprofit of 2 years or 3 years, you finish it in 2 to 3 years. Anybody who sits on a nonprofit for more than 3 to 4 years, then you got to really assess and look at them. What are they doing and what is the purpose? And I realized that there's a lot of talk and a lot of people just saying, hey, I'm doing this for the greater cause. But in reality, you're just building your own brand, your own reputation, at the expense of building community. I guess I would say the fakeness of building something better. So that's what I learned from that. Second one is master franchises that are great all over the world doesn't mean that it's done well in Vietnam. So you have to really assess and look at the leadership, the master franchisor, and their purpose of bringing that franchise to Vietnam, rather than just looking at the global brand and what it does. And then finally, this lesson was really great too, because just because you learn lessons throughout your career doesn't mean that you cannot fall prey to some of these traps, these honey traps, these opportunities for you. So this third example was actually I'd been in Vietnam for about 5 years already, learning lessons here and there. We're doing pretty well, also getting married, establishing a life in Vietnam. I was able to get into this group of investors, business people, high net worth individuals, and I was shown the penthouses, the supercars from Bentleys to Rolls Royces, Ferraris, McLarens, and all of that to show this luxurious lifestyle, including 5-star hotels. And this is something that I hadn't achieved in Vietnam nor the United States. So to be able to live that lifestyle was quite amazing. And it lasted for a year until I kind of woke up, and then COVID happened, whereby you realize, and and this is the hard truth of what's happening in Vietnam. And of course, we report a lot on, Ms. Trương My Lang, on Novaland, and FLC. And I can comfortably say that only 50% of the wealthy people in Vietnam, or what we call the Daya families or dynasties, are truly stable and have the sufficient capital, cash flow, and equity, and sustainable businesses that keep them rich or wealthy. But the other 50% are really just living in a house of cards. The cars are rented, the penthouses are rented, the luxury lifestyle, maybe that is true. Some of their vacation homes, their summer homes, the nannies and the drivers, right? You're using the low cost in Vietnam in order to paint a picture of wealth and success. But in reality, any day you can lose it all. And that is absolutely true for Trương My Lang, multi-billion dollar, FLC, Trịnh Văn Quyết, with Nguyễn Cao Trí, and many, and Cường Đô La now as well. So many of these big people are facing those issues. So looking at those particular dynasties or families, and now you're seeing a lot of people going to jail, and it was really a house of cards, right? If you were a stably wealthy or rich, then you would, and if you had $1 billion, how do you lose $1 billion overnight? That just means it was just a house of cards. It wasn't sustainable, and you got to look at those situations. Okay, so that's what I would comfortably say. Truly assess when you're finding local partners in Vietnam, spending a lot of time doing your due diligence on them, cross-checking with your other reliable partners in Vietnam, your reliable relationships, verifying the information that is given. Take time to get to know their family, to get to know their friends, get to know their motivations of why they want to do business with you, how they want to do business with you, and what the exit strategies are. And of course, if you have good enough banking relationships, then check out their CIC, which is the credit score. Check out any litigations they have. And of course, if you have good friends in the Ministry of Public Security or police, it's always good to check that as well. That would be the lesson that I learned about finding local partners in Vietnam. So making sure that you spend time, don't rush into it in order to be fooled or on the greedy side of making money. The partners are very important for you, just like choosing your spouse. Make sure that everything is aligned before you do business. Because to be honest, Vietnam is a land of opportunities. There are abundant opportunities for you. Don't rush into it. You're better off saying no and keeping your money in your pocket than investing and failing. Although investing into Vietnam will come with many risks, some of them that market risks or financial risks or legal risks, but there are some that are quite underestimated. And the one that I really want to address is many times the foreign investor will come in and say that Vietnam is a lawless or it's jungle law. that everything can be resolved through connections and relationships. So therefore, they underestimate the full understanding and compliance of the regulatory environment and how to work within the legal framework and systems. So thus, with that said, one of the biggest issues that I see is regarding employee management and HR policies. Right? They underestimate the entire system in Vietnam, whereby the salaries may seem to be lower, but like I said, you need to be competitive to give a better salary, compensation, and structures. So one thing that's underestimated is, I mean, it's a sensitive matter, but it happens a lot, and I get many clients who complain, and I've seen it amongst corporations, is what we consider stealing amongst employees. Either you're stealing time, you're stealing physical assets, you're stealing productivity, or other versions of stealing that may not be considered criminal. But of course, you have embezzlement, fraud as well. Understanding the mindset of employees, how they make money, how they were raised in a system that encourages partly stealing or cheating. And one of the business people told me that stealing is the national pastime in Vietnam, could be brought to light in the current situation. If you look at Trương My Lang, who stole from people, right? Thousands and thousands of investors. You look at FLC as well, thousands of investors who invested into their businesses, into their hospitality, the hotels, the apartments, Novaland as well, or any one of these big developers that have sold thousands and thousands of units with no intentions of actually giving the units to people, or giving some but not others, or selling shares. That's really stealing, right? If at the top of these big businesses is that mentality, at the lower level with different employees, it could be the same situation. And unfortunately, that is what has happened in Vietnam in the past. I think it's definitely changing. If you treat your employees well, if you treat them and you give them respect, then there will be many employees in the current time that will be loyal, that will work long-term for a company, and also benefit the global vision of that company as well. Therefore, I would say don't underestimate the employees. Fully understand their background, understand their motivations, and how you can work together in the system where the employer and employee benefits from the working relationship rather than being one-sided. That's when a lot of fraud and stealing as a national pastime happens. Before I get into my biggest mistake of investing into Vietnam, there's something crucial I have to talk about. That the 80% of you that are not subscribed to the channel right now will join the 20% that is really driving the 65,000 subscribers and how we can get to 100,000. So I want to give you a really good deal. So for any of you that subscribe today, I will give 100,000 VND voucher, which can actually get you a whole plate of cơm tấm or broken rice and a drink as well. You can get half a drink at my bar. You can also get a foot massage as well. So it actually goes a long ways in your enjoyment of some of our retail businesses, but it will also help us get to 100,000. Make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel and get your 100,000 VND voucher to enjoy all our retail businesses in Vietnam. So now let's get back to my biggest mistake in Vietnam. Having invested into Vietnam both from a professional services standpoint and also in the last 5 years into the retail business as well, I want to share with you a little bit about some bad investments and how to avoid having some bad investments in Vietnam. So one of the things that is really important is, like I stated before, about local partners or international partners in Vietnam, is the different partners that you have and how to do due diligence on them, how to identify them, and then how to work with them. So I've made some poor decisions and worked with some bad partners. And here's one really big example of that. A few years ago, I opened up a speakeasy whiskey cigar lounge. And the first mistake was the target market. It was for myself as a middle-aged man, a little bit over middle age, relatively successful, and then wanted to enjoy a little bit more about whiskeys and cigars. Along with some partners, built a whiskey cigar lounge, speakeasy style, hard to find, so that I can enjoy. The first mistake was the target market of middle-aged, distinguished or successful gentlemen is definitely not a great target market. I learned that. And the second lesson in that is having 8 partners in one business is a huge bad idea, because everybody has their own thoughts, everybody has their own experiences, they have their own mind, and they have their own way of running the businesses. Thus, it was very hard to manage expectations, to work together, and there was a high level of mistrust, making it very difficult to work together on a daily basis. And to be honest, the investment money was not even that much at all. So having the lesson and my implementation for future investments is, if you don't have enough money to do it yourself, then don't do it. If you are going to do it, have at most 3 investors in one business. Make sure that the vision is shared, that the goals are aligned, and the biggest thing is have an operational expert and partner working. Aside from just the investing of the monies, they have to be working in the business. So I believe you should have skin in the game, which is putting your money where your mouth is, and adding your value and knowing each person's value and addition into the business, not just the investment and the monies itself. So that is critically important for future investments, and I've been implementing that to invest into some others. And I believe that Phil Jackson's statement, addition by subtraction, when he was the coach of the Los Angeles Lakers and the Chicago Bulls. I'm closing one business in order to open up a better business due to my experience, different partners, and I believe that they will be better, and it's proven already. So don't mind closing some business if they cause you more headaches, but just be smarter about opening up the next business, and that would lead to some of the mistakes and avoid some of the mistakes of having bad investments. But of course, if all your businesses did well and every investment went well, then you would be a guru and you would be like Warren Buffett. So you have to accept some losses, just try to minimize these mistakes in making bad investments. Working in Vietnam, which is a civil law country, where all the laws, regulations are written down, but application is different and interpretation could be different depending on your relationship, the size of your company, how much money you've invested, and also what relationships you have. So I would say, to understand the regulatory environment, it's always best to work with experts in compliance, legal, financial, and accounting as well. Even though we are a law firm, we also need help as well, because there's a lot of localization and local rules that we don't understand. So being a foreign company operating in Vietnam, make sure that you vet through your professional experts, follow strict guidelines, and do not use nepotism or work with only your friends. Try to work with the best that you can afford. And also do not be afraid of changing those professional experts, because when the times change, they need to change, and if they don't, you can use other services. And as a law firm, we fully understand that. Our job is to stay abreast of the regulations and the environment so we can better advise our clients. And if we can't grow with our clients, then we don't mind that they go elsewhere as well. Get expert help in order to grow your business. I want to share with you, due to some of my failures, what the biggest lesson that I learned in Vietnam, and I also advise the clients on, is think of investing into Vietnam as a long-term strategy. It has to be 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. Don't think it's an emerging market that you will just do a hit and run, because there's so many things that you have to understand, like finding local partners, vetting through them, capital deployment, waiting for the cash flow to come back, understanding what your exit strategies are, and also your backup plans. So to invest long term is a much better strategy, and having a plan for that. And with that said, and all the things that I discussed before, I would say the biggest thing is to trust no one, verify all the information that they give you, cross-check with other people, and of course, wait and be patient for the long-term return on investment. Those would be the things that I would really want to mention to all of the investors and foreigners coming into this amazing and dynamic market in Vietnam. Make sure you're long-term play. Don't rush into it. invest, cash outflow, wait for the time for the money to come back, and then reinvest in other businesses as well, or continue to expand the existing business. Don't just put cash out all the time and then wait until it comes back, and continue to invest. You have to have a stable investment. And that is the biggest lesson that I learned while in Vietnam. One of the biggest strategies, and it's critically important, is to find your local partners and also suppliers that you can trust and work with. So the strategies I employ are this. You definitely need to first identify your list of suppliers that you would need. And of course, it could change as well depending on your specific needs. For example, our law firm needs different suppliers in litigation, criminal law, translation, entity formation in different parts of Vietnam. But they also change as well depending on how you develop your staff and your skill sets. Once you acquire the skill sets and you can systemize it, then you may not need a supplier anymore. So you can always change and vet through your suppliers. Also, with your local partners as well, you will learn throughout on how to work with them. So I will share with you a few of the things that really help me now in order to identify local partners and also work with suppliers. First, you should do your due diligence on the particular person, from their assets to their lifestyle to their family. Then you should actually spend time with their family, because family will tell you about their work ethics, will tell you about their lifestyle, of their spending, and what they prioritize, family, business, or there may be a show as well. Also, you got to cross-check on their business and their personality and their family through other organizations in the community, through reputable sources that you trust, and also to people that have worked with them. So when you ask, what do you know about this particular business or family, it's not talking poorly about them or trying to find problems. You just want to be able to double check. But of course, not everybody will share with you the knowledge that you want, so you need to go to a trusted source. And then, of course, spend time with them in different environments, both in social environments, in business environments, in events as well. And then after that, I always believe it's skin in the game, right? You got to make sure that they're putting money into the business along with you before you continue. Having all your contracts drafted, your partnerships, your entities properly positioned with professional legal services, and also make sure you have an independent accounting firm to make sure everyone is on board, that is transparent, that you are fully presenting to numbers as they are. And with all of that, and you're having a good legal experts on your side, you'll be able to at least start the process of investing together. But of course, to be successful in business in Vietnam, like anywhere in the world, execution, execution, and execution. So I would say don't rush into it. Have an open mind. Spend a lot of time before you start doing the business, and then spend time systemizing or running the business well, and finally letting the operational expert run it while you just advise and give your numbers. Of course, it sounds great in theory. You definitely have to go into it yourself, invest into a few businesses in order to be able to identify good local partners. So I get this question all the time, is what makes you successful in Vietnam? We have many of our clients, of course, many of you watching also trust us, feel that we are successful to a certain degree. I wouldn't say that I am necessarily fully successful yet in Vietnam. I've achieved some success. I've had a bunch of failures, but a few of the things I feel are necessary to have the opportunity to be successful. And success is different to everybody. Success can be monetarily, it can be financial, it can be the amount of jobs that you create, or it can also be the legacy that you leave behind. So I wouldn't say just base it on money. But here are the few lessons that I've learned on what I think it takes to be successful anywhere in the world, especially here in Vietnam. I say the one big thing is to be patient and to be clear with your goals. As long as you're patient, you have a good set goals, then you would be able to achieve it and you can measure its success. Two is, I would say that don't just look at the end goal of what success is. You have to really enjoy the journey, which also means that you should enjoy the monies that you make, enjoy the time with your employees, and especially enjoying the time with your family on the journey of being successful, whatever that means to you. Be patient about it, be clear about it, and also enjoying that journey. So with that said, I would want to give an example of my own firm. So in 2016, we started making videos in our YouTube channel, right? We started with one video, and then it was just Mr. William and I. Finally, in 2023, we were able to get up to 500 videos, 50,000 subscribers, right? It took pretty much 500 videos is one video a week for 10 years, 50 weeks a year. We didn't actually see a lot of traction or engagement or critical mass until 7 years later. But if we had stopped at any part of that journey in creating valuable content for you, then we wouldn't be here today. Trying to reach 100,000 subscribers, and we're already at 65,000 due to your support. So that is what I would consider successful, and I definitely have to thank Mr. William Dos Santos, my co-founder, for being patient, for being diligent, being creative, also working with the marketing team, and also being my business partner for over 15 years now, through thick and thin, and working through everything. That is the patient side. We have a clear vision of where we want to take Duong Global. And of course, we also enjoy our time. We eat, we drink, we travel, and we appreciate each other's talents and efforts in the business. And that being said, I think Duong Global is successful to a certain degree. We have a lot more work to do. We have a lot more people to help, and we will hopefully leave a decent legacy behind for our staff around the world, especially in Vietnam, where I live, and then in Thailand, where Mr. William lives. So after running a business for 15 years, and also as an attorney, and then in Vietnam and many other countries, I would specifically talk about Vietnam, as this video talks about investments in Vietnam. I would give three kind of pieces of advice and lessons on investing into Vietnam. The first thing I would say is definitely take your time, patience to do the research, do your due diligence, your market research, how to handle employees, what is the tax system, what is the legal compliance and structure you need to implement in order to be successful in Vietnam. Two is the budgeting is critically important. Like I said, you need to double your budget, your marketing budget, your employee budget, your compliance, and everything you need to do, because just because it's a developing economy doesn't mean that everything is cheap, because lessons could be expensive as well. And then finally, I would say you need to be extremely patient with your investment strategy. Emerging markets move fast, but your investment plan does not have to be short term. It has to be long term, it has to be strategic, and you have to be patient. And then finally, enjoying the journey of investing, of spending the money, of reinvesting it into your people, into your employees, into the country, the community, and of course for your family. That I consider totality is the legacy that you leave behind, because the money will not make you happier. Although as a caveat, if you don't have money, it's very hard to be happy, but you just need a certain amount of money in order to be successful, to have a standard of living, and to enjoy your life. For me, it's about making money for others is what really brings me enjoyment and my motivation every day. Others including employees, my family, my suppliers, and folks that follow us that want to improve their investment chances in Vietnam. So those are the things that I would say to look into, to focus on, and because of that, you will have a better chance of being successful in Vietnam. But if you need more support, of course, Duong Global is here to help you as well with our team of legal, financial, and real estate experts. And of course, my practical advice about investing and being an investor myself in Vietnam. So there you have it, my full experience about investing in Vietnam, from the highs to the lows and everything in between. In business, bad experiences aren't failures. They are lessons for you to succeed. So no matter how many times that you fail, it is important that you pick yourself up, you learn your lessons, you adjust, and you grow from it. So through all my investments in the law firm and different F&B businesses, I've failed, I've somewhat succeeded. There are many that are being invested right now. But the most important thing is to never give up, to enjoy the journey of investing, and also to adjust along the way. And the most important part for me is to put my family at the top. And I always try to live by the percentage of 40% of my time, focus, and energy is on my family. 30% of the time is on making money or the businesses to support my family. 20% of the time is for my health and my physical and mental health, so that I can have a balance for the other parts. And then finally, the last 10% are my own personal endeavors to reflect, to meditate, to enjoy some of the things that I may enjoy in order to keep the other 90% balanced. And that is the video for today. I just want to know, what are your thoughts on this video? I've shared a lot. I've spilled the beans. I try to be as real as possible for you. And of course, I even drove and make sure that it's safe. Everything is safe. The environment is fully controlled, and the team as well. So with that said, I want to say thank you. Thank you very much for watching this video. But make sure that you like our Facebook page, all our social media, especially to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that we can give you 100,000 VND to get to 100,000 subscribers. So on behalf of Duong Global, my name is Ken Duong. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one.